My name is David Hodnett, and I did my projects on suicide attacks. Suicide attacks occur worldwide and are committed by terrorists. Understanding the patterns of where they are most likely to occur, who will cause them, what causes the most fatalities, and how it's changed over time could be useful in trying to prevent future attacks. Abstraction is the process of representing real-world data entities by removing unnecessary information so that the researcher can process and come to conclusions with what they're trying to do. In this project, I abstracted characteristics of suicide attacks. Some of the properties I abstracted were locations of the attacker's birth, number of attacks, frequency of attacks, fatalities, and the types of weapons used in the attacks. The limitations for my project were the data set I'm using only provides data for the past 3 decades, where terrorist attacks have been occurring for much longer. This could make certain trends in the data not show up, which could lead to the wrong conclusions being drawn. The data set also only goes into countries for specific locations instead of like cities or stadiums or stuff like that, where the population is going to be more concentrated, that terrorists might be more likely to attack. This is the data structure for my project that I used. The first question I asked was, is there a correlation between location of attackers and location of the attacker's birthplace and the number of attacks? The second question I asked was, how has the frequency of attacks changed over time? The third question I asked was, what weapon is most likely to cause the highest number of fatalities? On this slide, I talked about the social impacts. I listed 4 stakeholders, which were citizens, law enforcement, UN policymakers, and the terrorists. For the citizens, I said knowing where the attacks occur, they could move elsewhere or be more watchful. The law enforcement would become more aware of trends and be on the lookout for attacks. Policymakers could try and implement policies to try and limit the attacks. And the terrorists could use the data to more effectively commit attacks. I did 2 conflicts between the stakeholders. The first one was, while law enforcement would benefit from knowing what weapon causes the most fatalities, the terrorists would also benefit because then they could be more inclined to use that specific weapon. The next conflict was law enforcement and policymakers would benefit from knowing where attackers are most likely to come from and could implement a ban from people immigrating from those areas. But this would also trap innocent citizens of those areas in an unstable and dangerous environment. This is the honor code.